Dr. Rachel is with us. Dr. Rachel, welcome to the show.
Hi. Thanks for having me.
Shedding light. It's great to have you. Shedding light on treatment for substance use disorder in Florida. And you wrote an article in the Huffington Post, on HuffPost, on their blog. And it seems that you were having some issues. We talked about this at the very beginning, and I can understand why. The New York Times wrote an article about South Florida. Megyn Kelly's past show, the Florida Shuffle. All of these things were coming into play, and I'm sure that it became aggravating for somebody that has labored long and hard, to get you're a psychiatrist or a psychologist. On top of that, you've worked diligently in the community. You had to go through getting your education and then helping people. It must be frustrating for you.
Absolutely, and I think my frustration started with just the inconsistencies, and as well as just people not understanding what even the terms mean. So we're talking about all of these different things and that we have problems in the industry, and nobody is completely clear on what it is we're talking about. So it's all getting grouped into this, like we're the same thing. And I think that started, my frustration.
Okay, so check this out. What is, and we're just going to go, you wrote this great blog. So let's go through it. And it's posted, by the way, if you go to at Rockers in Recovery on Facebook, it's posted. It's actually pinned to the top. You can read it. What is the difference between a sober home and a treatment center? Highlight
and that's a really important difference. So sober homes are group homes where people in recovery live together. And this is there's different models. And, this is something that's been, we've had a lot of in Florida for a long time. And it's been a very positive part of our recovery community because it allows people in different, at different periods in their recovery to be in a structured environment. You go from, more structured and more supervision to sort of less over time. And there's not treatment in a sober home. There are a lot of sober homes where most of the people or all of the people that are living there are currently in treatment, but that's not a requirement for most sober homes.
So the big problem that we foresee here in the industry that you talk about is that there is some corruption. Listen, not everybody falls into that category. So, what is the difference between, how do you know as a parent or a loved one or a guardian that's calling up, how can you find those things out? How do you know that they're doing the right thing?
So, and that's a really great question. I just want to start with, there is a lot of corruption. Like you said, there is corruption in every industry that exists. There are going to be people that are not doing the right thing. So it's no different here. And I don't think, a lot of times we're being led to believe that it is higher in this industry than others. But right now there's just a spotlight, microscope really on this industry. It's happening in every industry. We heard about, years ago, we're South Florida, so we hear about Medicare fraud all the time. Right? There's a spotlight on that. There was a spotlight on that a couple years ago. So it's happening in every area. In healthcare, it happens a lot. So that doesn't mean that everybody in the industry is like that. Actually, most of the people in the industry are doing the right thing and ethically. So I just wanted to sort of, reiterate that because I think it's very important. For loved ones, I think there's a lot of things. First of all, be as involved as possible. Ask questions to get to know where you're sending your child. So, again, treatment centers are places where people who are struggling with substance use disorder will go to actually get treatment. So we'll start with that. If you're trying to figure out what is the best place to send your child or your loved one, friend, ask questions like, who is your clinical director? What is the philosophy of your program? How often will somebody see a medical physician? What is the medical physician's background that they're going to be seeing? I think it's a great idea for, to make sure that there's an actual, a lot of times substance use disorder, which obviously is in the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual mental disorder, so it's considered a mental illness, overlaps and is with other mental illnesses. So you want to make sure that the person that you're sending is going to have access to a psychiatrist or somebody who specializes not just in addiction medicine, but in mental health as well, to be able to really tease out what's going on there. A lot of times we confuse, which one came first, and we can't really treat one without treating the other. Try to find out who are the other staff. What is somebody's day typically like? Go down, visit the place, meet the people that are going to be working with your friend or loved one. Those are a couple good things to start with.
I think that part of the issue is that, in my case, and I'm just going to talk from my own personal experience, and
Sure.
I talked about it at the top of the hour. One of the things that happened for me was that I came here 25 years ago to go to treatment. Now, because in my opinion, I wasn't ready, I went back out, and I went back out for
Right.
several years. So one of the things that I look at sometimes in frustration is I see a lot of people blaming people, and if the addict sometimes isn't ready, they're not ready. And unfortunately, death happens. That's, with the addiction, death happens. So it's not always, going to fall on the clinician in the recovery place.
Absolutely.
Now, do I believe that some are responsible? Yeah, some of the things that just took place, with Chapman and the rest of those guys, it was nuts. That was insane.
Sure.
But not everybody is like that. Not everybody's like that, and not everybody's going to be that way. So I believe that you have to understand that if you're sending your child somewhere, you're sending someone or a loved one somewhere, you need to understand that they have to be just as committed too.
Yeah, and I think those are important points because, I talk about ambivalence a lot. Ambivalence is almost always part of substance use disorder, whether it's that they're not ready at all, like you said, you weren't ready, or that it comes up when they are ready, right? We all are going to be ambivalent at some point in our recovery. And, in terms of taking responsibility, I'm not one to talk about blame. I talk about responsibility. And I think as a society, we need to take responsibility for what's going on. And, I don't want to kind of hijack the time with that because I could go on and on about that, and I'm going to write something about that very soon. But, I think that's really important. And the other thing is, when you put so many people, right, who are seeking treatment, so they already, they have a substance use disorder, in one place, it's not surprising that we're going to see an increase in overdose and deaths. I mean, if you put everybody who has cancer at one hospital to get treatment and they all live in this, 1 mile radius, it's not going to be surprising that you're going to see deaths, right? That is part of what happens in this arena, unfortunately. And the deaths aren't necessarily all being caused because of the substance use disorder. They're being caused because we have synthetic drugs on the street that are, 100,000 times more potent than what they're used to taking. It's being caused because we have people that, aren't using for a long time, whose tolerance is changing, going out and starting to use again and not realizing that they don't need as much as they used to take. And there's a number of reasons, but it's not all because of the community. It's not even all half of because of the community. Yet we like to, have a place to put blame because we need that. I mean, we don't like to take responsibility as a society.
I love your commitment to this. And your article, again, is up at Rockers in Recovery on Facebook. It's at Rockers in Recovery on Facebook. Check it out. You can go right to the top. It's pinned to the top of our page there. And you can read it. And I think that, the levels of care in the treatment center is important. You went over that. I think that, understanding some of the realities of the industry, responses to recent media stories, you highlighted that. And one of the things that I want to get into with that, too, is that, when you have the media coming out and they're saying, hey, listen, everything's bad there. because, that's basically what they said, in my opinion. What it does is it ruins the opportunity for somebody that might save their life. And in the end, as far as the media is concerned, what would you say to the media as a whole?
I'd say be more responsible in your reporting, and I did say that when I spoke to several of the producers. It's unfortunate that we're painting that picture because we have a real opportunity here to help people. We used to be known in a very positive light for our recovery community, for our treatment centers, and because of a few, I'll say a few bad apples, that is being flipped to a very negative portrayal of an industry that does a lot of really good work in South Florida. So I'd say, be responsible, do your due diligence, and have an equally balanced story on the other side of what's really going on. We know that's not going to happen necessarily. I think that, that doesn't sell, unfortunately.
And it comes down to, if you look at the big picture, the media will tell everybody that there's so many overdoses happening here, which they are. There is no doubt that it's off the chain, but it's off the chain everywhere.
Absolutely.
You're looking at Ohio, West Virginia, New Mexico, New Hampshire, Utah. These are all states that the overdose rates are higher than what they are here in South Florida or in the state of Florida. So I think that you're absolutely right. There just happens to be this microscope, and I think some really bad press came off of the people that were not doing the right thing. And listen, he deserves every 27 years he's got, plus more.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the other thing is we're oftentimes talking about the overdoses in South Florida and sober homes interchangeably as well. And what we're forgetting is, besides these other states where overdoses are happening and there aren't all these quote-unquote sober homes, right, is that not all the overdoses that we're seeing are people that have been in treatment or are living in sober homes. People are overdosing, period.
Unbelievable stuff. Where can they find you? How can they find you? Give our listeners some information on you.
Yeah, so as you mentioned, I'm Dr. Rachel Needle. I'm a clinical psychologist right here in West Palm Beach, Florida, actually. I'm not sure where you're located. I can be reached at 561-721-6400 and or at Dr. Rachel Needle, DrRachelNeedle @gmail.com. I'm also I consult for a number of centers around here, helping people to strengthen their clinical programs and do that in an ethical way. I'm the clinical director at Seacrest Recovery Center in Boynton Beach, Florida, and the director of health information and substance abuse expert for Freedom from Addiction, and a clinical consultant right now at Palm Beach Recovery Group in Lake Worth. So I'm around, and please do feel free to go to my Facebook page, follow me on Twitter, and send me an email if I can do anything at all or if you have any questions.
Dr. Rachel.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's been a pleasure. I look forward to having you back and, talking more about this. I think it definitely, as we say, shedding a light on treatment for substance use disorder in Florida, and it needs to be known that the right thing is being done. And, we get to work with lots of people and help lots of people, and that's what the bottom line is helping people.
Absolutely. So, thank you for having me and for all the good work that you do in getting this information out there. You
bet. Thanks again. We'll talk soon.
Okay. Bye.
Guys, thanks for tuning in. You got Rockers in Recovery. If you don't know what Rockers in Recovery is, we are a media company. We're dedicated to carrying the message of addiction recovery education. We do it through music, news, events, festivals taking place within and not limited to the clean and sober community. We've been around since 2008. Rockers in Recovery is trademarked, is privately owned, and of course we love doing lots of great stuff around the country, and in Florida we do it everywhere. Our next gig coming up is the Free Love of Recovery Music Festival, September 9th, 2017, 12 p.m. to 5 p.m., and that's in Kirby Park at 160 Market Street, Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. You can check it out. Sponsors for that event is Rockers in Recovery Cafes, Atlantic Biotech, Clearbrook Treatment Centers, The Shores Treatment and Recovery, Amethyst Recovery Center, New England Recovery and Wellness, Little Creek Lodge, Hope and Grace Recovery Center, and Sobriety Unplugged. Those are the folks that are helping us put that on. We are, of course, out of Florida. Rockers in Recovery, that's where we started out in 2008, but we are all over the country and do things like this, and it is a free event. We make it free to the community so that way you can come out, you can be educated, and you can find out what's happening. And, of course, this event, we have three places that we're working with. Little Creek Lodge Foundation. We are also working with, of course, Clearbrook Treatment Centers and their foundation, and this is all in helping people to save a life and get a bed. We are raising money at each one of these, at the event for each one of these organizations. We also have the Sammy Foundation that we are working with. Sammy Foundation is a really, really cool place, and, we are definitely looking forward to having them a part of Rockers in Recovery up there at the festival.
Rockers in Recovery Radio is based on opinion only and is not meant to treat or diagnose any health or mental health issue of any kind. If you feel you need help for any health-related issues, please contact a physician or mental health professional. The opinions expressed by our guests are not necessarily those of Rockers in Recovery. This show is brought to you in part by New England Recovery and Wellness. You can reach Sam at 954-665-3826. Again, that's 954-665-3826. You can also find them online at newenglandraw.com. Thank you for listening, and we hope you enjoyed the show.
To the light, keep coming back. Give your better to the blues. Keep coming back, Lord. What do you got to lose? Well, I walk the road of thunder, I walk the road of pain. Yeah, my ego got the best of me, and my life is living in vain. It's when I hit rock bottom, hopeless in defeat. That old man that took my hand and he pulled me out of sea. Keep coming back and give your better to the blues. Keep coming back, Lord. What do you got to lose, yeah? What you got to lose, baby? From up above, keep coming back.